Today, I'll discuss Aramco's completion of a 50% stake acquisition in blue hydrogen industrial gases company, as reported by Zalia, marking a significant stride in industrial decarbonization. Next, the Star outlines Next Hydrogen's strategic partnership with Sungrow Hydrogen, advancing electrolyzer technology for green hydrogen production. And finally, MSN details Coca-Cola's deployment of a hydrogen-powered vending machine, illustrating hydrogen's potential in consumer applications. All of this on today's Hydrogen Podcast. The first segment today addresses a development reported by Zalia on March 24th of this year. Aramco completes acquisition of 50% stake in blue hydrogen industrial gases company. Saudi Aramco, which is a global leader in hydrocarbon production with a daily output of 12 million barrels, has finalized its acquisition of a 50% stake in blue hydrogen industrial gases, or BHIG, a joint venture with Air Products Qudra, or APQ, which is based in Jubail, Saudi Arabia. Now, initially, this was announced in July of last year. This transaction strengthens Aramco's foothold in the lower carbon hydrogen market, aligning with Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 to diversify its energy portfolio beyond hydrocarbons. Saudi Arabia has a robust history of hydrogen production, generating approximately 1 million tons annually, predominantly gray hydrogen derived from natural gas for refining and ammonia synthesis, this according to the International Energy Agency. BHIG focuses on blue hydrogen, which is produced via steam methane reforming, or SMR, with carbon capture and storage, leveraging Jubail's industrial complex, which accounts for 22% of the kingdom's petrochemical capacity and processes 5 million tons of chemicals yearly. The acquisition includes options for Aramco to offtake hydrogen and nitrogen, integrating these into its refining and chemical operations, which consume 500,000 tons of hydrogen annually across 9 refineries and 14 petrochemical plants. From a technical standpoint, BHIG's SMR process converts methane and steam into hydrogen and carbon dioxide at 800 to 1,000 degrees Celsius. Now, this requires 50 megawatt hours per ton of hydrogen, or 10 to 12 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per kilogram pre-capture, with CCS capturing 90% of emissions via amine scrubbing and underground injection. Carbon intensity drops to 1 to 2 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per kilogram, meeting blue hydrogen standards. Though capacity specifics are still undisclosed, a 100 megawatt equivalent SMR plant produces 20,000 tons annually, consuming 1 terawatt hour of natural gas, or 250 million cubic feet at 1,000 BTUs per cubic foot, and sequestering 180,000 tons of CO2. Aramco's 1,200-kilometer pipeline in Jubail, with a 500-ton per day capacity, facilitates distribution, while CCS utilizes depleted oil reserves at depths of 2 to 3 kilometers, storing CO2 at $20 to $30 per ton, per the Global CCS Institute. Process efficiency is 70%, with 30% energy loss as heat, though waste heat recovery boosts effective output by 10%. Nitrogen, a byproduct at 3 tons per ton of hydrogen, supports ammonia production, which is NH3, at 80% efficiency, or 60,000 tons from 20,000 tons of hydrogen. Economically, the deal's valuation remains confidential, but a 100 megawatt blue hydrogen facility costs $400 to $600 million, with electrolyzers being $200 million, CCS $100 million, and infrastructure $1 to $200 million, implying a $2 to $300 million stake for Aramco's 50%. Production costs are $1.50 to $2 per kilogram with CCS, factoring 50 cents per kilogram for gas at $3 per MMBTU, 50 cents per kilogram for CCS, and 50 cents per kilogram for operations, this per IRENA. At 20,000 tons, revenue reaches $30 to $40 million yearly at $1.50 to $2 per kilogram. Scaling to 100,000 tons, or 500 megawatts, yields $150 to $200 million. Aramco's internal offtake saves $10 to $20 million annually versus gray hydrogen at $2.50 to $3 per kilogram, while nitrogen sales at $250 per ton for 60,000 tons adds $15 million. Saudi Arabia's $100 billion hydrogen strategy targets 4 million tons by 2030, or $12 billion at $3 per kilogram, positioning BHIG as a $1 to $2 billion contributor with a 500 to 1,000 megawatt capacity. Employment impacts include 200 to 300 direct jobs and 1,000 indirect roles in Jubail, boosting its $70 billion economy by 1 to 2%. And globally, blue hydrogen's $50 billion market by 2030, according to McKinsey, sees Saudi Arabia aiming for 10% of that market, or $5 billion. Next, in a development from the Star on March 24th, Next Hydrogen announces strategic partnership with Sungrow Hydrogen. Next Hydrogen Solutions, a Canadian firm specializing in green hydrogen technology, has formalized a memorandum of understanding with Sungrow Hydrogen, a subsidiary of China's Sungrow Power Supply Company, to co-develop advanced electrolyzer systems for renewable hydrogen production. This collaboration unites Next Hydrogen's electrolysis innovation with Sungrow's extensive renewable energy infrastructure, which is 30 gigawatts of inverters deployed worldwide to enhance the global transition to net zero emissions. Canada produces 200,000 tons of hydrogen annually, primarily gray hydrogen from natural gas per Natural Resources Canada, with green hydrogen capacity targeted at 1 gigawatt by 2030 under the hydrogen strategy. Next Hydrogen focuses on alkaline electrolyzers, which use potassium hydroxide electrolytes at 70 to 80 Celsius, offering capital costs of $600 to $800 per kilowatt versus $1,000 per kilowatt for proton exchange membrane systems. Sungrow Hydrogen, part of a firm with 70 gigawatts of solar and 10 gigawatts of wind installations, produces 10 gigawatts of electrolyzers yearly, 40% of China's output, integrating with renewables at 5 cents per kilowatt hour. The MOU aims to optimize electrolyzers for industrial applications like ammonia and steel, and transport, which is fuel cell trucks, targeting a 10% efficiency boost. Now, economically, a 100 megawatt plant costs $60 to $80 million, or $700 per kilowatt on average, with $50 million for electrolyzers, $20 million for balance of plant, and $5 million for integration. At $3 per kilogram, 1,800 tons yields $5.4 million yearly, with costs at $5 million for power, $1 million for O&M, and $200,000 for compression, totaling $6.2 million. Offset by Canada's $4 billion hydrogen production tax credit at 40% capex, or $24 to $32 million, reducing net cost to $40 to $50 million, netting $1 million profit, or a 15% IRR. Sungrow's scale could lower cost to $500 per kilowatt hour, or $50 million in total, with a $1.5 million profit, making it a 20% IRR. The global electrolyzer market, which is valued at $5 billion in 2025, is projected to reach $23 billion by 2030, this according to Markets and Markets, with this partnership targeting 5% or $1 billion via 2 to 3 gigawatt capacity. Employment includes 100 to 150 jobs per 100 megawatt plant, scaling to 1,000 to 1,500 regionally, adding $100 to $150 million to Canada's $2 trillion GDP. This partnership positions Next Hydrogen and Sungrow to lead in green hydrogen, supporting Canada's 8 million ton CO2 reduction target by 2030 and China's 20% renewable energy goal per IEA projections. Sungrow's 100 gigawatt renewable base ensures power supply, while Next Hydrogen's tech addresses industrial demand. The challenges include supply chain resistance, which is 80% components from Asia, and grid variability, mitigated by Canada's 60 gigawatt hydropower buffer. This collaboration sets a precedent for scalable, cost-effective green hydrogen production. And lastly, in an MSN report from March 23rd, Coca-Cola's new hydrogen-powered vending machine doesn't need a power outlet. Coca-Cola, in collaboration with H2 Energy Solutions, has introduced a self-contained vending machine powered by a hydrogen fuel cell, launched as a pilot in select U.S. locations. This development eliminates dependence on traditional electrical grids, offering a sustainable alternative to the 5 million vending machines consuming 7 billion kilowatt hours annually, this per the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, and aligns with Coca-Cola's decarbonization objectives. Vending machines, which originated in the 1880s, evolved into a modern 120-volt, 300-watt units consuming 3,000 kilowatt-hours yearly each. Coca-Cola operates 1 million machines globally, contributing to its 5 million ton Scope 3 CO2 footprint, encompassing supply chain and usage. The new unit integrates a 1 kilowatt PEM fuel cell consuming 0.1 kilograms of hydrogen daily, or 36.5 kilograms per year, sourced from green or blue suppliers at 99.99 purity via 350 bar canisters. and those canisters contain 1 kilogram of capacity or a 10-day lifespan. Efficiency is 60%, producing 24 kilowatt hours a day, sufficient for cooling, LED lighting, and dispensing with a 500-watt buffer. Hydrogen is converted via a platinum catalyst at 80 degrees Celsius with a 10-year stack life. Refueling uses $50,000 delivery trucks carrying 500 kilograms, servicing 500 units per trip at $100 per kilogram logistics costs. CO2 savings are 180 kilograms per year per unit, or 50 kilowatt hours per kilogram grid emissions, or 180,000 tons for 1 million units. Economically, the units cost $5,000 to $7,000, or double a standard $3,000 machine due to the $2,000 fuel cell and $1,000 canister system. Electricity savings are $300 a year. Hydrogen at $10 per kilogram costs $365 a year, dropping to $182.50 at $5 a kilogram by 2030 with scale, netting $100 to $200 savings, or a 5 to 10% IRR. A 1,000 unit pilot costs $5 to $7 million with $400,000 in hydrogen expenses, saving $100 to $200,000 annually. Scaling to 1 million units nets $100 to $200 million in savings, cutting 180,000 tons of CO2, or 3.6% of Coca-Cola's footprint. Capital investment for 1 million units is $5 to $7 billion, with $182.5 million in hydrogen costs at $5 per kilogram, offset by $300 million in electricity savings, which is a 15% IRR with tax credits like the 45V at $3 per kilogram, adding $1 million for 1,000 units. Jobs include 50 to 100 per region for hydrogen logistics, scaling to 10,000 nationally. Beyond economics, this innovation showcases hydrogen's consumer potential with broader implications. Deployment in off-grid areas like rural sites and disaster zones enhances accessibility, powering 1,000 units with a 500 kilogram truck weekly versus diesel generators. Integration into smart cities could pair hydrogen units with polar canopies, hybridizing power for a 48 kilowatt hour day, cutting hydrogen use by 50%. Industrial applications may emerge, such as powering forklifts and Coca-Cola warehouses, saving $5,000 per unit yearly versus battery charging. Environmental benefits amplify with green hydrogen adoption, meaning 1 million units using 36,500 tons could decarbonize 365,000 tons of CO2 if sourced renewably. Challenges do include hydrogen supply, which is the U.S. capacity being 10 million tons, mostly gray right now, needing 1 gigawatt of green hydrogen, or $1 billion worth, for 1 million units, and refueling networks, though California's 1 gigawatt capacity offers a model. And this pilot aligns with Coca-Cola's 2040 net zero goal, proving hydrogen scalability from industrial to retail. All right, that's it for me, everyone. If you have a second, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a good review on whatever platform it is that you listen to. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, whatever it is. That would be a tremendous help to the show. And as always, if you ever have any feedback, you're welcome to email me directly at info@thehydrogenpodcast.com. So until next time, keep your eyes up and honor one another.